Hello, brilliant beauties. Welcome to Building Brilliance's training on high performance productivity. I'm so excited to have you joining me today as we build brilliance in ourselves. That brilliance is emitted to the world around us. It helps us build brilliance in our families, in our communities, in our teams, and with our clients, and in the world. And that's how we become the rising tide that raises all ships. And together, we transform the world. My name's Dr. J, and I'm super excited to take you on this adventure today as we learn how the world's highest performers achieve success with more joy and less stress. The strategy we're going to focus on today is called block scheduling. But first, let's get into the definition of high performance, because a lot of us think high performance is characterized by hustle and hurry or grinding it out. And that's simply not true. So I'm really excited to share. As a scholar, I love to geek out. And so I'm going to share some research with you to frame us as we get started. As we define high performance, the largest body of research shows us that high performers succeed beyond the standard norm, and they do it consistently over the long term. And the best part, while maintaining their health and well-being and quality relationships. I used to be a peak performer. So you'd scale the peak just to plummet to the valley below to recover. And then you scale the next one, plummet again, scale the next one, plummet again. Over time, this gets exhausting. And so when I came across this research, I was incredibly excited to learn that things could be a little different. I also, in my own reinvention journeys, had to figure out what are the dimensions of life that matter most to me. Often, it was career that got most of my attention. My work days consumed the majority of every day, and I started to long for more. As a result, I had to look at what are the dimensions of my life that are really important to me beyond career. And I started to recognize that self-mastery was key. I learned that the world's most successful leaders practice high degrees of self-awareness. And I got curious about what that meant. And I've learned I have to master myself. Those of you who know me know that my expertise and doctoral research is in leadership, and specifically leading in a culture of innovation and change. And what that means is I study how the best in the world lead. And one of the things that I realized and that I put together in my dissertation was an empowered leadership model. So if you know me, you know that I'm all about research. So sadly, at the end of this, you're only going to remember 20% of what we talk about 30 days from now. But we can dial that up to 50% if you take some notes. So grab your notepad, grab your pen and paper, and let's geek out together. You'll also remember 90% if you take action. So I've built in a challenge for you so that you can optimize the time that we spend together, increase long-term memory and retention so that you can make positive change in your life. So with that, empowered leadership model is the first thing I want you to take note of. And it's 3 nested circles. I wasn't actually planning on talking about this, so it's not in my slide deck. But what I would like you to do is label the largest circle self, then a nested circle inside of that, others, and an even smaller one, leaders. So all of us are leaders. Each and every day, we have to lead the most difficult person on the planet, and that's ourselves. So we have self, others, and leaders. I've had the great honor of leading others and leading leaders, and by far, hands down, I'm the most difficult person to lead. So that's why self-mastery is so important to me. Also, at the end of the day, it's our relationships that really matter most. When we think about the end of our lives, you often hear like inspiration for living your best life described as a eulogy. I love how John Maxwell puts it, and he says, your life will be summarized in one sentence, pick it now. And I think to myself, wow, that's profound. So let's pick that sentence now. That sentence is likely not, she really crushed it through email every day. She attended lots and lots of meetings back to back, still with a smile on. That's probably not the one sentence you'd be picking. The sentence you pick is likely inspired by relationships. So I put that next. Health and wellness. Without our health, we've got nothing, friends. I recently battled cancer and changed the trajectory of my disease through an empowered leadership stance. And so I'm very passionate about health and wellness, extremely passionate about leadership. And then career. My career has been a joy-filled journey. It's incredibly important to me to do extraordinary things with your career, to push the boundaries of your comfort zone. All of us have these massive lifestyle ambitions. And what we sometimes fail to realize is that it's our career that fuels them. And so I study job skills reports. I make sure that I'm positioning people with the skills that they need to stay on the cutting edge, to be the category of one, to lead the way in their industry, while also doing it with a spirit of joy and maintaining their health and happiness along the way. Advocacy, that simply means that you have a passion in your heart for someone or something, and it's our responsibility to go out into the world and advocate for those who are less able. For me, I fell in love with children early on in my life. Probably around like third and fourth grade, I started really loving babysitting and being with kids. And so for me, advocacy looks like championing for children. It also sometimes means championing for the underdog and creating career pathways into professions for people who may not otherwise have access to college. Sometimes it also means advocating for the single mom in the room or advocating for the person who is struggling financially. And so that's what inspires me to be so smart, to be intelligent, to be well spoken, to build the communication skills needed to best advocate for the people that I care deeply about. So I want you to think about, what do you like to advocate for? What are you passionate about? It might be the environment. It might be children, like it is with me. It might be health and well-being. It might be sustainable foods. There's so many different things that you might advocate for. Income and financial management. This one was a toughie for me. I used to tell myself that I'm not money motivated. As an educator, I loved working with kids. I loved making a difference for families. I loved making a difference in the lives of my colleagues. And later, as I focused on adult learning, on other educators. And so I've had to learn that mastering money is my responsibility. And so I've learned how to manage my income and finances in a way that allows me to live and lead my best life. Travel and adventure. We all love to get out and see the world, and that's important as well. And then I circled these all in spirituality, because one thing I know for sure is that we are divinely designed to live and lead lives that are characterized by abundance. And so I wrapped all of these within that. You can prioritize them in different sequences throughout your life, but it is important that as we design our lives with intention, that we are looking at the great 8 dimensions that are designed to bring us joy in life and to live fully and meaningfully. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into the research on high performance. And we're going to begin with a self-awareness survey. So as I mentioned, the world's most successful leaders practice incredible self-awareness. So I want you to ask yourself this question: just how productive have you been over the last week, month, quarter, and year? Your response might be A, I've been incredibly productive. I plan my days with intention. Manage the minutes is my mantra, baby. That's me on some days. B, I think I have a handle on everything, but there are days when I feel a bit distracted. At the end of the day, I've accomplished most of my top priorities, yet there are a few action items that roll over to the next day. That one's me on most of my days. And C, I feel like I'm in a constant state of frenzy. I'm stressed out and don't feel I have the time to achieve my goals or practice self-care. At the end of the day, I feel like a ping pong ball and have not achieved my top priorities. So which one of those are you? You can keep that between you, me, and the fence post. But it's important to practice some regulation and awareness around, where are we really? Many people live their lives in what I call the hamster wheel, right? We wake up, we caffeinate, we hustle and hurry through the day, all to tuck in tired and exhausted to do it all again and again and again. And I love this comic because it shows that we can escape that pattern. We don't have to run in that circle. High performers live their lives using a different playbook. So I want you to draw in your journal the normal distribution curve. That middle, or the norm, is not what you were designed for. I once had a mentor of mine who told me that I was now in the top 5% of earners after this particular promotion that I was celebrating. And I didn't really know what that meant. So I went on a Google journey and I consulted my dear friend Google, who loves to geek out with me. And I looked at the research on the top 10% of earners, 5%, 3%, 2%, 1%. And I started to create some goals for myself to be in the top percentage of earners. And I started to recognize that my Pee Wee playbook wasn't going to make it in the pros. I needed a different playbook. And I started investing in myself. I started recognizing that I invested in my education all through college. Why did I think adulthood was going to be any different? And I started making strategic investments in my learning. The best investments I ever made were in high performance and in leadership. And that's why I'm here teaching you these things. They're the things that made the biggest difference in my life. And they're the things that make the biggest difference in my clients' lives. And so I'm excited to share those with you. The research on high performance shows that high performers are uniquely productive. They've mastered prolific quality output. There's actually 6 pillars of high performance. They're psychology, productivity, physiology, persuasion, presence, and purpose. I said those out of order, so I'm going to go ahead and say them again. Psychology, physiology, productivity, presence, persuasion, and purpose. I said them out of order again. Psychology, physiology, productivity, persuasion, presence, and purpose. There we go. 3rd time's a charm, my friends. I'm trying to list things in an organized sequence, and I actually deliver trainings without my notes in front of me. So what you see is what I see, and I've just prepared enough to be on camera with you live. However, I do have a few missteps in my own journey. So it's important to know that high performers master that prolific quality output. It's not that they get more done, right? There's a difference between high performance productivity and being busy. High performers get more things done that are of high value. I will never forget the time when I was working in an organization. I was collecting information from all of our senior leaders, putting together strategic plans, working my happy little booty off, and I didn't get the promotion that I was aiming for. And I was absolutely shocked. I had done it felt like 180x the job, right? I'd almost done 2 full-time jobs trying to get all of these priorities addressed. And when I sat down in that performance review, I was told, and when I asked, right, I asked the question, I was anticipating a promotion. I thought this conversation would be heading that direction. And can you tell me what I could do differently next time? And I was told, you need to focus on the strategic priorities. And I shared all the additional things that I'd done and realized those weren't of value. And I started to look at my to-do list a little differently. I started to recognize that I put a lot of things on that to-do list that don't belong there. So I want you to practice what Stephen Covey calls keep the main thing the main thing. High performers focus and they place their effort to create only output that is meaningful and helps them excel. So I want you to ask yourself, what 20% of activities will achieve 80% of the results I desire? And for those of you who really want to level up, you don't get to be an A+ student anymore. All of my graduate degrees, 2 masters and a PhD, all 4.0, you want to know who cares? Only me. So a B is your new A for the day. To achieve heightened levels of success, you're not able to master perfection in all areas. You just don't have the time. There are other priorities that are more important. And so you've got to dial down the expectation just a tiny bit. And you'll still be positioned above the norm. I promise you. All my high achievers out there who are cringing a little bit, I was with you. I cringed a little too. I thought there's no way I could do that, or I'll lose it all if I lower my standards. You're not lowering your standards. You're keeping that high standard, yet as far as busy work, you're eliminating the busy and focusing on the priorities. So let's get started. We are going to dive into what it takes to succeed in your role. So I want you focused on designing your high performance life. I'm going to start by role modeling the way, and then I'm going to invite you to give it a go. Here we go. So I want you to think about the role that you hold. And in your notes, write down the things that you're responsible for achieving as a result of that role. Go ahead and push pause on this training and write down as many things as you can think of. Here's an example. For me, my days are filled with high performance coaching sessions with clients, leadership and high performance trainings where I'm doing kind of what I'm doing here with you, delivering training, conveying information in a compelling way, building out challenges to put people into an action orientation. I have meetings and interviews with prospective clients, uninterrupted focused time to conduct research on patterns and trends that are affecting businesses across the globe and people. I need distraction-free time to plan the instructional scope and sequence and design training materials and learning experiences. I need creative time for social media. I have meetings with my design, web development, and marketing teams. I have to manage logistics, including the delivery, print materials or online materials, food if it's in person, swag sometimes if there's budget for that. I also have networking meetings with other professionals who are focused on high performance and leadership. I have meetings with other collaborators. I engage in contract negotiations. And then I have reporting on my performance metrics and budget management. So those are the things that are critical for my role. Go ahead and push pause and start thinking about the things that are important for your role. Pause. Welcome back. We're going to talk about now what it looks like when your day is designed by default. What you see here is an example day, and you'll notice this is what my days used to look like. There was a lot of overlap. I was ping-ponging from one meeting. I'd be like, if you can see the column on the left, I have a meeting. Then I've got 3 meetings that are all overlapping. And so I would have to be at the beginning of the agenda on the first meeting, mid-agenda, and then towards the end of the agenda on the third. It was like, I used to call it the juggle is real. I thought life had to be that way. This was when everyone else owned my agenda and I was just pleasing and trying to show up for every single person but myself. That's what my days looked like. Yet once I learned this strategy, my days looked like this. And for those of you who are like me and just love a good right angle and organization, some color coding and alphabetization, woo, this makes me happy. You'll notice I have an Einstein hour starting each day. That actually is at 6 a.m. However, I've just recently moved and my calendar hasn't updated, so it's showing Eastern time. So I start my day with an Einstein hour, just time to relax and indulge in some time in bed, reading and nourishing my mind. Then I start going into meetings. And this was a little bit more when I was in corporate, so you can kind of see what my days looked like there. Now, I want you to give it a go. So you're going to pull out your calendar and then that list of responsibilities associated with your role that you just made. And the first step is to analyze your roles and responsibilities. For those of you who really want to dial this in, and this isn't your first time looking at managing the minutes, you may also include roles that matter to you, like being a mother, being a partner, being a good friend or family member, being a community champion. So you can have, I want you focused mostly on your career and business role, because that's where we spend the majority of our time Monday through Friday. So that's the primary focus. For those of you who are ready to take it a step further, you might consider your role as a mother. Most importantly, practicing self-investment, self-love, self-care. Choose whatever you want to call it, yet that should be on your calendar too. So you might think about what are some of the responsibilities you hold as you manage yourself. Remember, we're all leaders and we lead the most difficult person on the planet. How are you going to lead that person, right? For me, that includes meal planning and preparation, time at the store. I prefer to go one time instead of back and forth, back and forth. That's one way to lose a lot of minutes each day. I have a strategic cleaning plan as I clean my home so that I'm not walking backwards and forwards all throughout that time. I spend my time very intentionally. I've thought through the most effective way to clean the entire house. And so you can continue to evolve in this, but let's direct first to the career. Analyze your roles and responsibilities. Then I want you, this is where the work gets very intentional. Consider the optimal times for you to achieve your responsibilities. Before I learned this, I started every day with email. You know what that does? It puts everyone else's agenda at the top of your priority list. And that, my friends, is not the place I want you to be. You are reclaiming your agenda here in this moment. You are designing your life with great intention in this moment. The results you achieve are the output of how you design your days. So if you're achieving, picture whatever it is, financial freedom, time freedom, a healthy and fit body and mind and spirit, all of those things are determined by how you spend your day. So we've got to reclaim our agenda and start spending our time managing the minutes with intention. So I want you to think of the optimal times for you to achieve your responsibilities. Way back when my day was designed by default, I had to squeeze my responsibilities into the cracks and crevices between meetings. That wasn't the optimal time for me to design my days. It turns out I need a large chunk of time to dive into research and to translate that research into an effective learning experience. That takes uninterrupted time. I'm not able to do that 15 minutes between meetings here, 45 over here, an hour here. It doesn't work that way. So part of how we achieve more time is by looking at how do we use the minutes that we have each day? Are we using them optimally, or are they just going through the motions? So step 2, put a star by that one. That one is massively important. And then step 3, clear your calendar and design your day with intention. So go ahead and push pause right now and do that. You'll notice this is another example. This is from a time when I used to practice yoga and journal every morning. I had a 30-minute virtual yoga practice that I did. This happened to be during COVID. And I would do 30 minutes of yoga, 20 minutes of journaling. Then I would go into my Einstein hour and really frame my mind. And then the day. And you'll notice I had walking breaks in each day. I had workout and reading time at the end of each day. I had blocks of time for deep work. Again, this was back during 2020 when COVID was alive and real, but you can organize your day. You can organize your life with this strategy. Are you excited, my friends? I'm excited for you because this is going to change your life. The way you manage the minutes, your input determines your output. So the way that we use those minutes determines the quality of life that we get to enjoy. So I want to invite you to create a life and a career that you absolutely love. As we look at our agendas, you know what you're committed to by the results you achieve. So for me, I used to be committed a little bit to chaos because I was living in the hurry and hustle. My waistline showed it. I was inflamed. I was stressed. I was almost 40 pounds heavier, if you can believe that. I was so grateful for my cancer diet and dialing it in. And before that, before cancer came rearing its ugly head in my life a little over a year ago, I had decided it was time to lose the COVID weight. And as I journaled my foods, I recognized that on the days that I consumed alcohol, the following day I craved sodium. And so I started to analyze my food journal and I realized I could cut one thing, only one, and it would change everything. So I cut alcohol out of my days and I started to get truthful with myself. And I started to recognize that I didn't need the glass of wine at the end of the day. What I needed was time to detach from my responsibilities. And so I was able to make that one change. And then I was able to talk straight with myself. Talk straight is one of the 13 behaviors that high trust leaders exhibit, according to the research. So talking straight meant I had to get honest that alcohol is a depressant. So no wonder it left me feeling a little bummed out the next day. It's also highly inflammatory and linked, it's a carcinogenic. So no wonder my body's feeling fat and fluffy because I'm inflamed the following day. No wonder I'm experiencing brain fog. So I had to get truthful about what is true about alcohol for me. And I invite you to, as you look at your calendar and you look at your minutes, to really look through things with that fine-toothed comb, because I want you living optimally. What I noticed when I cut alcohol and quickly dropped 20 pounds, 20 pounds by just making that one change. And then I was able to have even more energy, dial it up for greater meal planning and nourishment for my body and fueling more workouts, which helped me lose about another 20 and really get into like the guns of it. Like, look at that, raw. And like just having the definition and vibrancy in my physical body that I never thought I would achieve. I'm sitting here to tell you it's possible, my friends. And you don't have to beat yourself up along the way. You can love yourself to great health. So you know what you're committed to by the results you achieve. I've been insanely committed to health and well-being, and it shows in my physical body. I finally, for the first time in over 20 years, don't have a muffin top. Hallelujah. That one's a praise the Lord for sure. So I want you to think about those results. Are you living in financial prosperity? Do you experience career success? Do you have extraordinary relationships? Do you have vibrant energy and a healthy body? Do you have a happy mindset? Are you a joy to be around? One of the things I'm teaching my daughter right now is to be delightful. Truly condition yourself to be a joy to be around. So those are some of the outcomes that you might be working towards. And I want to invite you to join what I've created, especially for you, High Performance Leadership Academy, as our founding members. This first beginning of this year is the launch of this brand new program that has been the result of 7 years in the making. And it's been a modification of trainings I've led across the globe with 13 countries. It's founded on the world's largest body of research on high performance. So it's one of the most effective ways you can use your time. So I want to invite you to make a decision today. You've got option one, being right in the middle, stuck in that mediocre middle, as Robin Artzone would say, living a common life. Or option two, to pick your percent and choose to be at the top of that curve, be at the top of your game, because you are role modeling the way. As women, we stand on the shoulders of the giants who came before us. And I want you to stand tall and be that giant for the next generation. Be that role model for your family. Lead the way. So pick that percent and then commit, and let's be the greatest of all time. So here's what you get in High Performance Leadership Academy. You get the private course membership area. The best part is community and group support. We love on and nurture each other in this group. And it is one of the most, for me, the biggest blessing of facilitating this is to see these connections, to pray with one another, to send positive energy towards each other with great intention, to change the trajectory of an experience in our lives from something that's a hardship to something that is fueling our success. Weekly live group trainings. The best part for me, the live high performance leadership coaching. Having those conversations is a game changer. It changes your behavior, which, as you know, changing your inputs changes your outputs. You have access to the boardroom and a collaborative workspace. You have Finish Strong Friday, weekly celebrations and wins. And then as a bonus for being my founding members, you get a one-on-one high performance strategy session with yours truly, and Design the Day like the greatest of all time, which is the mastery level of this training. With that, I want to invite you to get started. Instead of all of those things being purchased individually and valued at over $30,000, I've made it very simple for you to get started and say yes to you this year. You can enroll by going to go.drj.com/high-performance. I look forward to seeing you there and welcoming you into our community, and want to thank you for being here today. I'm not sure why my screen is not advancing, but that's okay. We're just missing out on the thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for spending your time with me, for managing the minutes, for knowing that growth is possible for you, that staying stuck in the struggle doesn't have to be your reality. You were designed with brilliance within you. I know that for a fact, and I help people reveal their brilliance each and every day. And it is my greatest honor to do that. And I look forward to doing that right alongside with you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here today. I can't wait to see your calendars all cleaned up. Woo, it makes me so happy. Just the thought of all of these things being aligned and organized. There's really nothing better in my little book. So with that, my friends, go out and shine your love and light into this world. Reveal your brilliance. Mwah.